I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this, but here I am just trying to make sense of what's happened. My name's Jake, and I was married to Lisa for about 3 years before everything fell apart. We had a pretty good relationship, at least on the surface. We laughed, went on vacations, shared a nice apartment. I thought we were solid, but looking back, there were little signs that something was off. She started acting more distant, spending more time on her phone, brushing off my concerns with that bitchy smirk she always had. She'd say I was overthinking, that I was paranoid. I bought her flowers, I tried to be attentive, but she'd just roll her eyes sometimes like I was bothering her. It didn't help that she was incredibly bitchy when I'd ask her about her day. She'd snap back, tell me I was suffocating her, that I was jealous and insecure. Honestly, I thought maybe I was just imagining things, but deep down I knew something was wrong. There was this one night, about 2 weeks before the wedding, where I came home early from work. I had a gut feeling, I do know why, but I just felt like I should check her phone. She was in the shower, so I slipped into our bedroom and unlocked her screen. I didn't plan to do anything, just wanted to see if she'd been hiding anything. And what I found made my blood run cold. There was this string of messages, text messages, and some even with emojis, that made it clear she was cheating on me. She wasn't just talking, she was sexting with someone, and from the tone of the messages I could tell it had been going on for a while. The guy's name was Daniel, and she kept calling him babe, saying she missed him, that she wanted to see him again. This wasn't just a quick fling, it was something serious enough that she was sneaking around behind my back right before our wedding. I stared at those messages, trying to process what I was reading, and felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I couldn't believe it. All those months of planning, all that love I thought I was giving her, and she was just lying to my face. I wanted to scream, to shout at her, but I just stood there in shock. I knew I couldn't confront her right then, I needed to think. But I also knew I couldn't keep quiet about this. Not anymore. I had to decide what to do. Do I confront her right away? Do I gather more evidence? The worst part was feeling so betrayed, so stupid for not seeing it coming. I mean, I had my suspicions, sure, but I never thought she'd do something like this so close to our wedding day. It's like she wanted to ruin everything. I kept telling myself I'd give her a chance to explain, but deep inside, I knew the truth. She was a liar, and she didn't deserve another minute of my trust. So, after I found those messages, I didn't sleep that night. My mind kept racing, trying to piece everything together, trying to figure out if I'd missed the signs, if there was any way to salvage what we had. But honestly, every thought kept circling back to one thing. She had lied, she had cheated, and she had betrayed me in the worst way possible, right before our wedding. That moment of realization hit hard, and I felt this mix of pure rage and crushing heartbreak. I remember staring at my phone, wondering if I should call her, confront her right then. But part of me was too angry to speak, and another part just wanted to see how she'd react when I finally did. The next day, I kept my cool around her, but inside I was boiling. I didn't want to tip her off that I knew. I needed a plan. I decided I'd wait until she got home that night and then have a serious talk. I wanted her to admit it, to see her squirm. I wasn't going to let her lie her way out of this. When she came in that evening, she was her usual bitchy self, rolling her eyes when I tried to ask her about her day, snapping at me over small things. It was like she knew I was holding something back, like she could sense I was onto her. I made sure I had the messages pulled up on my phone, ready to confront her. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "Lisa, I need to talk to you about something important. It's about us, about the wedding. Found some messages on your phone, and I need to know the truth." Her face immediately went pale, but she quickly recovered her bitchy attitude and started lying. She laughed, told me I was overreacting, that I was crazy to think she was cheating. She called me paranoid, said I was insecure, that I was imagining things because I didn't trust her. But I had the evidence right there, and I wasn't going to back down. When she saw I wasn't buying her bullshit, she started crying, which made me even angrier. She said it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that it was a mistake she made out of boredom. She told me Daniel was just a guy she used to work with, that they'd only kissed once or twice, and that she was planning to end it. That was the classic line, right? "It's just sex, I didn't mean to hurt you," like that made everything okay. I could see her trying to gaslight me, trying to make me doubt what I saw, but I didn't buy it. Inside, I felt like my world was crumbling. How could she do this to me? To us, all the plans, all the love I thought she felt, was it just a lie? I was pissed, heartbroken, and confused all at once. I wanted to believe she was lying, that she'd somehow spin this into her being misunderstood, but the truth was staring me in the face. This wasn't some innocent mistake. It was cold, calculated betrayal, and I was furious. I told her I needed some time to think, that I couldn't process this right away. She just looked at me with that bitchy smirk, trying to act like she was the victim, trying to make me feel guilty for catching her. Honestly, I'd never felt so betrayed in my life. Over the next few days, everything felt like a blur. I couldn't focus at work, I couldn't sleep, and every time I saw her, the anger bubbled up. But deep down, I also felt this crushing sadness. I really loved Lisa, or at least I thought I did. The idea that she'd cheat on me, lie to my face, just a few days before our wedding, was too much to handle. I kept replaying the moments, her bitchy attitude, her lies, the way she tried to pretend. She was innocent. It was like I was living in some kind of nightmare I couldn't wake up from. The worst part was that I hadn't decided what to do yet. I wasn't sure if I should confront her again, try to get her to confess fully, or just cut my losses and walk away. But I knew one thing: I couldn't stay in this limbo. I had to get some clarity. So I started digging, trying to find more proof, more reasons not to believe her bullshit. I started checking her emails, her social media accounts, any messages I could find. I wanted to catch her in another lie, to see if she'd slip up again. Then, quite unexpectedly, I stumbled on something worse. I found hotel room logs on her email account, receipts for a room booked in her name just days before the wedding. I couldn't believe it. She was really planning to meet him, to continue whatever this was. The hotel was only a couple of hours away, and I could see the time stamps, the dates. Everything pointed to she was actively lying and cheating behind my back. I felt a surge of rage. How could she be so manipulative, so shameless? That's when I realized I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. I had enough evidence to blow this whole thing wide open. I sat her down again, this time armed with everything: her messages, the hotel receipts, the emails. I laid it all out on the table. Her face twisted in anger, denial, then frustration. She told me I was crazy, that I was stalking her, that I was making it all up. She spun this ridiculous story about how I was paranoid, that Daniel was just a friend she'd been talking to, and that I was overreacting because I didn't trust her. She even had the nerve to call me insecure, like I was the problem here. But I saw through her lies. I could tell she was panicked, that she knew her house of cards was falling apart. I felt this strange mix of relief and disgust. Relief because I finally saw the truth clearly, and disgust because she'd been lying to me all this time, pretending everything was fine when she was planning her escape. I didn't want to hear her anymore. I told her I needed some space, that I was done talking. I had to think about what I was going to do next. I was furious, hurt, and betrayed, but I also felt this strange clarity. I knew I couldn't keep pretending she was innocent. The woman I loved was gone, replaced by this manipulative, selfish person who didn't deserve my trust. As I walked out of the apartment that night, I felt a strange calm settle over me. I was angry, sure, but I was also determined. I couldn't go on like this, living in her lies. I had to decide whether to fight for this marriage or cut my losses. Either way, I knew my life was never going to be the same. The betrayal was too deep, the damage too extensive. But I also realized that I'd learned something from all this, about trust, about love, and about how sometimes people you think you know just aren't who they seem. The days that followed were the hardest I've ever experienced. I kept replaying everything in my head: the moments I trusted her, the times she lied, the times she snapped at me like I was some obstacle in her way. It was like I was mourning a loss I hadn't fully accepted yet. Every time I saw her, I felt this wave of anger and sadness crash over me, and I couldn't help but wonder how I'd missed all the signs. How had she been able to hide so much so well? It's like she'd been playing me for months, maybe longer. I decided I needed to put some distance between us. I started packing a bag, planning to stay with a friend for a while. I didn't want to face her, not yet. I knew I had to get some clarity to figure out what I really wanted. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to save this marriage anymore. Part of me still loved her, but another part was so hurt and betrayed that I couldn't see through the pain. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could she lie so easily, cheat so brazenly right before our wedding? One night, she finally broke down and tried to explain herself. She said it was a mistake, that she didn't mean for it to go this far. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, trying to act like she was the victim. She told me Daniel was just a distraction, that she was bored, that she never loved him, only me, and that she was sorry for all the pain she caused, she said. But her words felt hollow. Sorry doesn't erase the fact that she had been sneaking around, sexting with another man, planning to meet him in a hotel. Sorry doesn't fix the fact that she lied to my face every step of the way. I told her I needed time to process everything, that I wasn't ready to talk about us yet. I told her I was hurt but also angry and that I couldn't forgive her so easily. She looked at me with that familiar bitchy sneer and said I was overreacting, that I was making a mountain out of a molehill. That was her usual tactic: deny, lie, spin stories. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I saw her for what she was, a manipulative bitch who thought she could get away with everything. I started to think about the future. Could I really stay with someone who lied so flagrantly? Could I trust her again? The answer, honestly, was no. I knew I'd have to rebuild my life from scratch, and that was terrifying. But I also knew I couldn't keep living in her shadow, pretending everything was fine. I had to make a choice. Do I try to forgive her, try to work through this mess? Or do I cut my losses and walk away? The decision was crushing, but I finally realized that staying would only mean more pain, more lies, more betrayal. I deserved better than this. So I told her I was done, that I needed to figure out what was best for me. She tried to argue, to guilt-trip me, but I just blocked her out. I packed up, left the apartment, and didn't look back. I knew she'd try to spin this, call me insecure or jealous, but honestly, I couldn't care less. The trust was gone. The woman I loved had turned into someone I barely recognized. And honestly, I felt relief mixed with the heartbreak. It was the first step toward moving on, even if it hurt like hell. After I moved out, everything changed. At first, I thought I'd feel relief, like a huge weight was lifted. But honestly, the pain was still there, gnawing at me. Day and night, I couldn't help but replay all the moments I'd trusted her, all the times I'd defended her, all the times I'd believed she was the one. Now I saw her for what she really was: a liar, a cheat, a manipulative woman who'd do anything to get her way. The betrayal cut deep, and I had no idea how to start healing from it. I spent the first few days just trying to breathe. I didn't want to see her, talk to her, or even think about her. But of course, she kept trying to contact me, texts, calls, even showing up at my workplace. At first, I ignored her. I didn't have the energy to argue or listen, but she's persistent. That bitchy attitude, that manipulative tone, it made me furious. Every message she sent tried to guilt-trip me, make me doubt my feelings, or convince me she'd change. But I knew better. The woman I loved was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. One day, I finally sat down and really thought about what to do next. I realized I couldn't stay stuck in this cycle of pain and anger forever. I needed closure some way. To move forward, I didn't want to be the kind of guy who let a woman like her ruin his life, but I also didn't want to forget what happened. I needed to get some clarity, so I decided to cut her out completely. No more texts, no more calls. I blocked her on everything. It was the only way to start healing, I figured. I needed space to breathe, to process, to rebuild myself. In the aftermath, I also started going to therapy. Honestly, it was a game changer. I learned so much about myself, about trust, about boundaries. I realized I'd been too trusting, too eager to believe the best in people. But I also learned that some betrayals cut so deep that healing takes time, and sometimes it's better to just walk away and start over. I can't say I've fully moved on yet, but I feel stronger. I've started focusing on my career, my friends, trying to rebuild my confidence. Looking back, I wish I'd seen the signs sooner. I wish I'd trusted my gut more. But I also know that some mistakes teach us valuable lessons. The biggest one being, Never ignore your instincts. And if someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Because you deserve someone who's honest, faithful, and respectful. Not a woman who lies, cheats, and manipulates her way through life, leaving destruction behind her. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I'll never let anyone treat me like that again. I'll take my time, heal, and move on, because I know I'm better than that kind of betrayal. Now, as I sit here reflecting on everything, I realize how much this ordeal has changed me. It's not just about the betrayal or the heartbreak. It's about learning to trust myself again. I used to believe in happily ever after, in the idea that love was enough. But that illusion shattered when I found her messages, her hotel receipts, her lies. It showed me that sometimes people aren't who they seem, and love alone isn't enough to keep a relationship afloat when someone is actively working against you. What I've taken from this is a lesson I wish I'd learned earlier. Never ignore the warning signs. I was blind to her bitchy attitude, her dismissiveness, her constant lying. I thought maybe I was just overthinking or that she'd come around. But the truth was right there in front of me, hidden in plain sight, and once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. The trust was broken beyond repair, and trying to fix it would have only made me more miserable. This experience has taught me to value myself more. I was willing to overlook so much because I loved her, but now I see that love isn't enough if it's one-sided. A relationship has to be built on honesty, respect, and mutual trust. Without those, everything else crumbles. I also learned that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of self-respect. I won't pretend I'm completely over it, but I am moving forward. I've started dating again, though slowly. I've learned to set boundaries, to listen to my instincts, and never settle for less than I deserve. The pain will fade with time, but the lessons will stay with me. I hope whoever reads this takes away something valuable. Always trust your gut, never ignore the red flags, and remember that your happiness and peace of mind are the most important things. In the end, I guess I'm grateful for the wake-up call. It made me realize I'm stronger than I thought, and that I don't need someone who lies and cheats to feel whole. I'll rebuild my life, one step at a time, better and wiser than before. And maybe, just maybe, I'll find someone who truly respects and values me for who I am. Someone I can trust without doubt, without suspicion, without the fear of being betrayed again. That's what I'll hold on to now, because that's what I deserve.